So hi, I'm Sian, and I want to tell you about my project, Inquisitive Narratives. So just to kind of give you a little bit of information, first of all, about me and where I came from, if I can just make my thing go forward, which has stopped my presentation. Here we go. So I was looking about how can performance connect young audiences to data? That was kind of the big question that I've been looking at. And it all really came from my background. So last year I volunteered to do a talk for some students about how my career had got to the lofty heights that it is. And as part of this, I listed every job title I've ever had and stopped at 65 because it was ridiculous. So I've been a project manager, I've worked on scripts, I've done a lot of spreadsheets, I've done a lot of stories, I've done a lot of hosting, I've done a lot of serving drinks, I've done a lot of scrubbing toilets, I've done a lot of explaining science. And nearly everything I've done has come back to this idea of narratives and different ways of exploring them. And that's what kind of bringing all of those things that I've got from doing excellent banter as a barmaid to explaining what gravity is to 4-year-olds has brought me to Inquisitive Narratives. Ta-da! That is the project that I've been doing. So the basic idea, it was kind of 3 elements to this project. So the first one, number 1, is how can we explain a specific set of data to a young audience using performance. So for example, if NHS Lothian wanted to explain to a group of 10-year-olds in Craigmillar about diabetes statistics, that's some pretty dry and pretty scary data. So what can happen if we involve storytellers or comedians or theatre makers? How can we deliver that information in a different way? Which also then brings on to step 2. What if NHS Lothian then wanted to know what those 10-year-olds already knew about diabetes? It is notoriously very difficult to do research, meaningful, ethical research with young people, and to do it in a creative way where you get genuine answers and can kind of dig a little bit deeper. So I wanted to know what would happen if you use people who were used to reading a tough room, who were used to creating opportunities for young people to speak and engage and communicate in new ways. What happened if they were involved in trying to gather data? Which brings on to step 3. How do we train those creative professionals in data in a very loose way, in just the basic introductions of understanding how they can use data in their practice, how they can explain data, and how they can gather data. So that's the kind of 3 steps. Now, I should say at this point, my project is still at a very early stage, and I've been doing a lot of thinking, a lot of reading, a lot of chatting with people. And as part of that, 2 big things have come out, which are one, kind of feel like they have ethical imperative at the moment, particularly given the past year we've had. One is, how can we make young people feel in control of the data which is shared about them? Particularly young people living in areas of multiple deprivation will have statistics which are shared about them, which are incredibly generalized, about from the class sizes in their school to the income of their parents to the crime rates of where they are. And a lot of them either won't know those statistics on that data, or they'll have a vague sense of it and just feel like it's either talking about something they don't recognize, or it's something which can be used to kind of trap them in that situation. So what can we do using performers, using people who are used to making creative things happen in strange spaces, to make them feel in control of understanding the data and creating new data? Can they make the data of kindness in their area? Can they monitor the good things about their area and share that as well to empower them? And as I don't know if you've noticed, last year was a bit of a toughie, particularly for those working in live performance. So can we create an additional income stream for creative professionals through paid training opportunities and connecting them with organizations who want to share their data and need new, innovative and ethical ways to do that? So it's always story time at Inquisitive Narratives. I've been really open as to what kind of performers I would like to work with. There are so many different skills that can come from people who do large scale, gorgeous, high-end productions with beautiful sets, to improv comedians who may be able to take sets of data that are gathered on the way in and spin a show around them immediately. And it was just to find out what happens when you imagine that you're a 6-year-old sitting on the carpet in your classroom. Everyone knows is the best bit of the classroom, it's where the good stuff happens. And if someone comes in and talks to you about data and explains that data is collections of information, and there's some data is stuff we can count, like how many people are in this classroom, and some of it is a bit harder, like how people in the classroom feel right now. And letting them know that sometimes data is used to help them to make sure that their school has enough money, and sometimes data is used to sell them stuff and to try and make them do stuff. And actually what happens if performers come in and tell stories and do plays and perform and help from a very young age, from P1, help young people understand data and what that means. So I've been chatting to some creative professionals about what's currently standing in their way from using data more in their practice. And I think it will come as no surprise that the number one issue is, of course, money. Money to fail, money to train, money for childcare, I know is an issue that came up several times. Money to just diversify, and it might be worth it, but everything feels like such a gamble at the moment. So I'd really like to use this opportunity to try and create opportunities for organizations who want to deliver data, but who also have the resources to support people who are looking to bring more data into their practice. The second issue was confidence, which hopefully a comprehensive and ethical training program will help to alleviate that as well. And to help kind of bring back some of the confidence that people have lost over the last year in their own ability to perform and engage an audience, that actually if you hang it around a set of data, does that give you the structure you need to get confidence back in your own amazing practice? So very quickly, next, we're going to keep chatting, communicating. We are collaborating with some excellent organizations and performers, and we hope to create Inquisitive Narratives into a company, into an agency which can connect performers with data and with other organizations to create beautiful things. That is my time up, but here's my contact details. I'm happy to answer questions and get in touch if you would like to be involved. The end.